The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, good morning. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
Hi, everybody out there in Government Center watching us.
Yeah, you know, the system we're still trying to work out the bugs. The macro is still way off, which basically kind of automates our system, and that's why it kind of took a little longer to go on the air. Actually, it took us a lot longer because we're already going into 2 minutes before we're on the air.
Wow.
But as many of you may be aware, I wrote yesterday about make it here. If you can't make it here, you can make it anywhere else. Actually, I have a very vulgar version of that, and I'm not going to get into it. But it's nice to know the mayor reads us because him, on his propaganda hour with Faust, figment of my imagination, Fiore, and former Sergeant Michael Munchkin Hoare, all said, oh, you know, there's going to be a lot of opposition to this. I have opposition of paying $130,000 plus.
Yeah, for a plagiarized
or copycat campaign. And I made it very, very clear on that. And I'm going to show you why this is a plagiarized or copyrighted campaign, which you may all remember if...
And some of you may not have even been born when this was run.
So let's go to the tape.
Make it first, make it last, make it slow, make it fast, but make it in Massachusetts. You can make it, make it in Massachusetts. Everybody make it. You can make it happen in Massachusetts. You can make it, make it in Massachusetts. Everybody come on and make it. You can make it. You can make it in Massachusetts.
Can a great city like Fall River build a whole new tomorrow?
You can make it.
We're doing it already. Fall River is making it in Massachusetts.
And that was done in the 80s.
That was the 1980s.
The 1980s.
Fall River, a new
hey,
spirit.
Jazel, buddy. Buddy, you just paid one of your buddies $130,000 to come up with something that they've already tried. And by the way, half of the businesses that put money up for this making in Massachusetts in the 80s went out of business, and they're no longer in business. Listen, boneheads. listen to me carefully. Humpty Dumpty, you can't put them back together again by doing the same old stuff. And that's what you're doing. You're feeding the pablum to a new generation because they don't remember when they tried that and failed. Fall River was better off when that was made in the 1980s than it is today. And you paid one of your pals $130,000, and you say some people are going to oppose it? Well, the entire state of Rhode Island opposed warmer and cooler. And the residents and taxpayers of Fall River should be incensed at the fact that the mayor went in front of the council and talked about a $30,000, give me $30,000 for this marketing, and now it's $130,000, and it'll never end. Because they always come, you can't market what isn't there. We've got to rebuild this city the right way. Not slick slogans, not already used. Look, make it in New York. And I actually heard they had the audacity to say it's nice to get hooked up with Frank Sinatra. Well, I don't care if you hook yourself up with any movie star. We know how that worked out for Hillary. She paraded across the stage with every movie star in the world and every singer in the world. And now Kanye West is on suicide watch because he can't handle anything anymore. So, you know, the fact is, you guys have got to be realistic. This is absurd. But let me thank you for and giving kudos to CJ for writing a column that they read and respond to so quickly, because they know that people are actually listening and paying attention.
Right.
This whole branding campaign is just another way, and the studies, and they've been doing it since the 80s, since Lambert, and it hasn't improved the economy in Fall River one iota.
No, and you know, the thing is that campaign was created by the Massachusetts Department of Commerce. And if you find, on the column, I put a link to the actual video, not the cut version I put here, which actually showed the bumps that appeared after the primary portion of the ad. And then at the end, they would add a bump from the different businesses in the state. In Fall River's case, which was the only city that was actually identified, because we're a new spirit, according to that plate.
No, because we were, even at that time, we were considered, you know, a desolate wasteland.
Exactly.
So that let's try to pump Fall River a little bit more than everybody else, because it's a desolate wasteland down there.
You know, there were banks that were in there. There were, several banks actually. Shawmut Bank, gone. First National Bank of Boston, gone. All businesses that are no longer up. Prime Computer, long since gone. You know, these are all things that happened, and this was from the 80s. But let's just get away from the fact that they did that. The fact is that this was a campaign that was already paid for and created. Now, another failed marketing campaign, as you brought up too, from Massachusetts first, is the Spirit of Massachusetts. I mean, a lot of people remember that. And as a matter of fact, a lot of the younger people remember it because Family Guy made a spoof on it. And the spoof was actually more entertaining than the original ads. But you know, you can find these online very easily. But let's look at one of the biggest fiascos. It was such a great campaign that within days of announcing it, they removed it. And it cost the state of Rhode Island $500,000, $550,000. And that was Rhode Island's Cooler and Warmer campaign. But it became known as Rhode Island's Dumb and Dumber campaign, the Oranger and Squarer campaign, Give Us All the Money campaign.
That's the best one. I love that.
And then, of course, the Potholes and Dunkin' Donuts campaign. That's what these things generate. Now, just so we can see how much of a plagiaristic campaign this is, that you, the taxpayer, are going to pay for. And, you know, I have to say this very clearly because guess what's happening here, people?
Screw you, taxpayer!
Here's what's going on. Now, in April of this year, Citibank, otherwise known as Citigroup or Citicorp, came up with the idea of Make It Here campaign. Citi debuts the Make It Here campaign, and they rolled it out in six communities. There it is, people. Citi debuts Make It Here campaign. Imagine that, okay? Now, that's a wonderful campaign, right? Obviously, it was so wonderful. And it scares me to think that we're doing this in such a fashion that we are so stupid, so ignorant in Fall River that we can't even qualify for our own branding campaign. Now, this branding campaign is going to come up with new logos, new colors for Fall River. Well, why? You know what they say, orange is the new black.
Yeah.
So
all of the cost to the taxpayer.
Right, but no, he is going to create a nonprofit tourism council. Many cities have them. Providence, of course, Providence has one. He couldn't go without saying Providence. But guess what? The mayor wants to retain control of that by appointing that. Well, guess what? Under the IRS code, you can't do that. The cities can have no control over that tourism council. None. So I've already told, and I was actually asked by somebody within Government Center, what are you going to do? File a complaint? And I was asked by somebody here at the studio, too. Are you going to actually file a complaint? I said, the moment he goes to create that 501c3, I'm filing the complaint because I get 25% of all the fines, assessments, and recoveries they do.
Yeah, you'll be able to retire.
But, you know, with all the complaints that you can file, you could retire on this stuff. But, you know, it gets to be very scary that this city is so obtuse. I'm using big words again. So obtuse that they can't even get out of their own way and make it here. It's already getting, and he even acknowledged that people are already making spoofs of that campaign.
Yeah.
If they're already doing it, I want to know why the city administration says, you know what, we got to get rid of that, because it is a very weak slogan, very weak.
Well,
and I've spoken to several people since he made this announcement who are in advertising. Not these two clowns.
It's been tried already and failed. So, I mean, God, you know, it's like, forget
Not
it.
these two clowns at the City High End. Now, granted, Figments does have a pretty decent reputation. But this other guy must be, you know, one of the mayor's college buddies or something. Because this is ridiculous. And remember, this isn't a one fiscal year thing. It's going to be over 2 or more years.
It's going to be ongoing, because when this marketing fails, they'll start another marketing.
Another one.
But let me say something about the whole thing. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to make a very, very radical statement here. Okay? Fall River should not be doing very much marketing, because the reality. Let's get real here, people. Okay? Let's get a reality check. Let's talk real numbers here. Now, our only firewall between the mayor and his mad spending sprees on things that have already been tried and failed, and he thinks he's going to market something that's not marketable, who's going to move into a city with people with no money? How many times? They marketed Detroit. They marketed Flint, Michigan. They marketed the entire Rust Belt in the Midwest. Did it work? No. Why? No money, no jobs. You're not going to bring anybody in. You first got to rebuild your economy. You've got to begin to float the boat again. And the only way you do that is not spending money every year and getting your friends rich, making these stupid, and they are stupid, marketing. Make it here. The only time anybody will come to make it here is when they get a TIF and they can pay minimum wage. That's the only time they're coming here. That's why everybody's moving to Mexico. Why? Because businesses are greedy. We saw the greed of business when Melian, the shill, and I don't blame him. He's getting paid to do that. Started whining about the increase in the business tax. And there was Hetzler right next to him whining about, $900. And, well, guess what? You're getting a $10,000, basically an abatement. The first $10,000 of your taxes you don't pay on. Does any resident in Fall River get that? No. And then they lowered your tax factor twice. And you're telling me you still can't stay in business? You can still afford a Mercedes. But let me give you a couple of numbers. And let's see how I say continually on this show that the only way to fix this city is to give people more money. And by giving people more money, we get more businesses. Because even in the 80s, when the first Make It Here campaign was made, Fall River was better off. We had 2 clothing stores, men's shops, the Empire Men's Shop and Sawyer's. We had stores up and down Pleasant, South Main. Why? People had jobs, not the greatest jobs, they had jobs. But let me give you some quick numbers. And you tell me if giving the businesses that most of them live out of town and run away with the business, and they don't give pay raises, those are minimum wage jobs for the most part. Okay, these are the numbers. And as far as I know, they're correct. There are 8,979 single-family houses on the tax rolls. There are 2,229 two-families. There are 3,143 families. There are 1,852 between 4 and 8 units. There are 18,023 condos and 118 trailers. That comes to 34,341 living units. Now, if only 2 people lived in those living units, that total is 68,682. Now, if you clowns in the city council stop killing the taxpayer so they don't have 2 nickels to rub together and do what you did this year, at least the right people did it, and try to relieve some of these taxes and fees. I did a quick thing. If the 68,682, and that's probably a low figure, that live in those units, had freed up enough money because you actually stopped picking their pockets, if they spent $5 a week, $5, not 100, not 1,000, $5, not even a pack of cigarettes for you smokers. If they had $5 a week more to spend in the businesses of Fall River, that would be $1.37 million a month into the economy. Take your damn advertising campaign and stick it where the sun doesn't shine, because all you're doing is wasting money, and any city councilor that gives you more money for this crap should be voted out of office in the next election, period.
It's funny because, you know, my initial counts on that just annually on the savings to the savings to the Fall River taxpayer is $1.06 million a year out of the budget. And Hetzler said, explain to me how $900 more a year on the commercial side is gonna benefit the $31 in these people's pockets. And City Councilor Richard Cabaceres said, I'd rather put the money into their paychecks than just give them.
But it's not going to go there.
Exactly, it's not going to go there. And
it's going to go into Hetzler's Mercedes when he gasses up. That's where it's going to go. You know, and you're right. See, look, forget about those numbers. The numbers are, the fact is, if you keep the taxes down, the rents don't go up.
Right.
If you keep the fees down, the rents don't go up.
Right.
And the property owner and the tenants all have a couple of extra dollars more that they can actually spend. And they whine about business, and it's a simple matter. It's not only supply and demand. There's simplistic idea. Oh, we're going to bring them in. We're going to bring them in. Who do we bring in? We bring in companies that don't want to pay taxes. We give the companies that are here a $10,000 abatement. And what has it done for the city? Absolutely nothing. Zero. And the fact is, stop killing the taxpayer. I'll tell you, Carl, what it does. It gives people a couple of dollars more in their pockets. Yeah. So they can spend to keep small business in Fall River open. Because you know something? The businesses you're protecting, like Matook, don't sell a dime's worth of product in the city of Fall River.
No.
Because I don't know. Maybe, that's kind of.
You're going to pay $400 for a towel?
We do have, maybe our 1%ers, maybe the Fiolas can afford $400 towels. Yep. Maybe the Hetzlers can afford $400 towels. Maybe the Millions can afford $400 towels. But nobody in Fall River is going to a store and buying anything from Matook. But Matook is getting, they're treated like kings. The people working in there get crap money. And then they make all these promises. The fact is, economics is real simple, especially for small business. No customers, no business.
That's right.
And and small businesses live on the $5 purchase. They're operating on a small margin. These people that are whining all the time and doing business overseas in Hong Kong and stuff, those are the greedy people that want all the money. Those are the same people that in the early 1900s were chaining people to the machines and the mills in Fall River and in New York City, and the same people today who are still using slave labor in some countries, and even in the United States. They found slave labor being used. The fact is, if you think they give 2 craps about the working man, you're nuts.
Exactly.
The only way you're ever going to fix this economy is anybody that raises your taxes, kick their butt out of office.
Well, you know, it's craziness because, you know, we talk about Detroit a lot, but, you know, I've got to bring this up because it's funny. This was an interesting study column. It's how nonprofits can end up becoming a drain on city budgets.
Really? You think? You think?
And here's the problem. And Carol Fiola's report even said it. Okay? They keep expanding and expanding and expanding. And these nonprofits are the main cause of the loss of revenue in Fall River because they're providing a service, one-stop shopping. Detroit did this. We are already beyond critical mass. And this is what happens. And that's the big problem.
You're
okay?
right.
We in the 70s started this process and we've just let it run rampant. And every administration has allowed it to keep going. They sold their souls. They sold out this city for one-time money. Oh, we got $2 million for this, we got $2 million for that, we got $1.5 million for this guy. Even the mayor today on Radio Pravda said, I have a great relationship with the governor. We just got $1.6 million for the city pier. That's not because you had a great relationship with the governor. That's because you signed that compact. That compact gives Fall River a bump over everyone else that's applying that doesn't have the compact. That's how you got it. That's how
Will you
got it.
please stop telling the truth,
No,
CJ?
I won't.
No, come on. You know, yep, no, but look, you know, we know this is all baloney.
Well, the
mean,
baloney gets better because now he's announced the billboard plan, which is going to put 4 billboards up along the highway in Fall River. Now, we don't have many highways in Fall River. We have 195, we have 24, and we have 79. That's what we have. Okay? Now, there's not a lot of city land there that you could put a billboard up. But he supposedly has 4 locations. He's not going to talk about how much money that they're going to get from it. But they got a 75-25 split with Capital Associates, who's going to do the marketing. Somewhere along the lines, I will guarantee you, this is going to cost Fall River money. And he's saying it's not. And the best part about it is the Department of Transportation has to approve the locations first. And that's a long and lengthy process. And Cliff Ponte came up with this idea. Now, I'm not against it. Personally, I think what should have happened was the school committee should have taken this up to allow companies like, you know, Powerade and you know, Nike and stuff to take ads out in the stadium at Durfee High School and generate revenue for the schools, not for the city. Because one of the problems we have in Fall River is everything goes into the general fund, which means that the sticky fingers on the 6th floor find some place to spend it for one of their friends. So
yeah, and let me just cite from the Herald News article by Mike Holtzman. He said, and I'm quoting, the mayor's anticipated announcement on commercial billboard advertising bringing a new budget revenue was long on potential and short on specifics, which is normal for the mayor. He gives all these grandiose ideas, and we're going to build a garden on a garden in a parking garage, and we're going to, and this is Xanadu. We're building Xanadu here.
Yeah.
And you know, you can say whatever you want. The reality is, look, you talked about the nonprofits. How much does the director of Star? How much does Nancy Paul make?
6, 7 figures.
6, maybe 7 figures.
Right.
7 figures, guys. Figure what that means. 7 figures, not 6 figures. 7 figures. What are the board of directors of Charlton Memorial? All 6 figures.
All at the mid-6.
All 6 figures.
Yep.
And I don't think any of them live in the city of Fall River.
No.
And that's what the nonprofits do. The nonprofits, they're all carpetbaggers. They're all big money people. They get these things. They make millions and millions of dollars. They get huge salaries, and they run away to the suburbs and bring all the people that drain our economy into our community to hurt the taxpayer. And then they go to us to keep the city stable because they're not paying anything. They're not paying anything. They don't live here. And you expect them to have a dog in this fight? They don't care about this city. They're like the CEO of Caremark that makes $32.8 million, and that other CEO whose father's a senator. And they got a $16 million pay raise, and a CEO from Caremark that makes almost $33 million a year. You think he cares if he kills people by denying them drugs, that he overcharges you, that they use, you know, uncontrolled Canadian and Indian, Canada, I don't believe, Chinese and Indian drugs? They don't care. You know, and that's the big myth. We talk here every once in a while, we bring it back about the myths, because that's what government does.
Right. They
weave this intricate myth, this pablum, and then they wash it down. They wash it down with liquid BS. And they tell you how they're going to fix everything by spending your money and doing studies and having campaigns, when it's very simple. A working nation and a working city is a prospering city. For the United States, and Fall River is one of the most obvious, you know, examples of that. When the United States began to lose jobs, and it destroyed the working class, the middle class, which is virtually evaporated, the country has gone to ruins. And that's the same thing in Fall River. And as long as the city council continues to fund this kind of baloney and not do what they did with the tax rate, to give people more money, like I said, the numbers are clear. If you gave these people a couple of dollars in their wallet and kept their costs down, and they spent $5 a week because you gave money, that's $1.37 million a month.
Right.
You know, that is over $14 million a year into this economy. So, you know, that's what the businesses should be looking for. But no, they're greedy. They want to make all the money. They want to keep it all. Yeah, Cabaceras, wake up. Put it in their paycheck. Look at the wages of people in Fall River. Every business that comes to Fall River comes here because you get cheap labor.
Well, you know, to kind of move forward a little bit now, this is, you know, the beginning of the holiday season.
Bah humbug.
Okay, bah humbug, yeah. And tomorrow, Saturday, will be the 32nd annual Christmas parade. Now, for over 30 years, that Christmas parade had a full day's worth of events. But this year, I don't know what to tell you, because I honestly don't think we're going to have that. Don't ask me why the clock, like I said, this macro is still way off. We still have time. I will start it in a little bit. But the mayor decided to break it all apart.
2 minutes, I think.
Yep, break it all apart. And here's what happens. He's going to have the Christmas tree lighting on Monday, where the crowd will be smaller. The Christmas parade is just the Christmas parade. And then on Sunday, they're going to have another whole wreck of the Hesperus going on. And it's kind of sad, personally, that that's going to happen, but there's really nothing you can do about it.
3 shindigs, 3 political opportunities to campaign.
Exactly. And, you know, this is the biggest problem we have. And maybe at some point we'll figure it out, but Fall River never figures anything out. So, but it's interesting to see. And with that, now we will close our show.
That's right. Remember, if you can't make it here, you can't make it anywhere.
And you know what? Go make it somewhere else, it seems. Have a great weekend and try to get to some of these Christmas events. We'll see you on Monday.